the finals of the Men and Women African Cup of Nations, it's always frenetic. On days such as this, there are no tribes, no religion. Here, Nigerian warriors are out to represent, to show the skills that makes us the best. On days like this, the color is one. The color is green. When we get the job done, it is because we have stuck together. When we celebrate, we stand together. Nigerians, united in victory. We are Nigerians. We are one.
Nation is power. Everyone wants power. So feel powerful with the NTA News mobile app, the one-stop information center. Real news at your fingertip. Be the first to report by uploading first-hand information on the You Report link, and be the first to know by simply clicking on any of the links on the sidebar for headlines, domestic and foreign news, economy, security, politics, sports, and more. Stream live on your smartphone and tablets and stay connected. It's pretty easy. Simply download NTA News app from your Google Play Store and you're good to go. NTA News mobile app, your access to real-time information.
Our programs are getting better and fresher. And it's because we are thinking about you. NTA, it's all about you.
Alarming humanitarian crisis in Syria, world leaders to the rescue. Build capacity to prepare for the critical challenge of national infrastructure development. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo tells Nigerian engineers. And as Nigeria joins the rest of the world to celebrate Cancer Day, federal government gives priority to cancer treatment. Good evening and welcome to NTA Network News. My name is Funke Oga. About $6 billion have been realized towards dealing with the alarming humanitarian crisis and other issues triggered by the 5-year conflict in Syria. A pledge of another $5 has also been secured over the next 4 years for the same cause. This was at the Supporting Syria and the Region Conference in London, the British capital. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the conference attended by President Muhammadu Buhari was the 4th attempt at showing solidarity with the people of Syria.
Moving towards Turkey, my mind is not now in London, but in our border, how to relocate these new people coming from Syria.
By partnering with Jordan and supporting our refugee response, you will not only be addressing the urgent needs of millions, you will be helping my country continue to do the right thing, fulfilling a critical role in our region and staying strong for the world.
Lebanon is not able, nor should it be expected, to finance this global public good. Annual humanitarian appeals are underfunded, kids are not in school, and food rations are smaller every day.
Apparently, in response to the cry from the suffering Syrians and the region, United Nations Secretary General Mr. Ban Ki-moon and other co-organizers of the conference say time to act is now.
The situation is not sustainable. We cannot go on like this. Let us change the narrative. Let us, with our solidarity and generosity and compassionate leadership, bring true hope to the people of Syria and the region.
When we look at this crisis that has now gone on for almost as long as the Second World War, I hope that as we stand and make our pledges today, we don't just think of our own countries and our own people today, we think of our children and our grandchildren and what we will say to them when they say to us in the future, what did you do when the world faced this Syrian refugee crisis?
And today, it is about alleviating the plight and opening perspectives for people who are fleeing Syria and also in the next
assistance from all well-meaning countries, companies and organizations, the humanitarian catastrophe affecting millions of Syrians cannot be addressed. We urge all the parties to engage in peaceful talks because only a political agreement will bring this tragedy to an end. The military option will only succeed in prolonging the suffering of innocent civilians and increase their number from the current 13.5 million and halt this catastrophe immediately.
He said Nigeria, having experienced civil war, terrorism and insurgency, understands the pains inflicted on the people of Syria and the hardship that innocent civilians suffer in the hands of misguided elements.
In conclusion, I want to extend the sympathy of the entire people of Nigeria to the suffering people of Syria and stress that we all stand in solidarity with them. Despite the magnitude of our challenges and the increasing stress on our economy, I reaffirm Nigerian government's commitment to support and assist the war-affected people of Syria.
Meanwhile, in a resolution at the end of the conference, participants agreed to reduce the pressure on countries hosting refugees by supporting them in providing access to jobs and education that will benefit both the refugees and the host communities.
The Vice President also received a delegation from the Facility for Oil Sector Transparency Reform, FOSTA, a group composed of non-governmental organizations involved in different issues in the Niger Delta areas. The Vice President restated government's commitment to the development of the Niger Delta and also commended the group for coming together to develop a common framework to support the process of development in the area. The group, which said it adopted a common framework in order to avoid duplication, was led by Mr. Richard Oshowole.
There's been quite a lot of work done on the Niger Delta over the years. What we want to do is to help the process of developing actionable
state people to support the federal and state governments in the provision of infrastructure to fast-track development.
We've seen schools, we've seen roads, we've seen flowers. We just opened the model school, the HIT Awolowo model school. It was just an incredible testimony to good, sound education in this state.
Residents of Ayetoro in Yewa non-local government area of Ogun State also came out in large numbers to receive the Vice President who inaugurated the Ayetoro Township Roads, a project that has transformed the ancient town to a modern one.
We are going to train 500,000 graduates who are still looking for work, and we will pay them to be teachers on a volunteer call basis. For those who are not graduates, we have a youth employment scheme.
Governor Ibikunle Amosun told the elders of Yewa land that more developmental projects are on the way. Prominent leaders of the land spoke on the economic importance of the projects and other ongoing ones, especially the Ilasa to Ilashe road to Yewa land.
For economic value, that road is very, very good. It's very good.
And I'm sure this is just the beginning of good things or better things to come. And before he finishes his 4-year term, the second term, he will do more for us.
The Supreme Court has confirmed the elections of Udom Emmanuel as governor of Akwa Ibom and Okeze as Abia State governor. Details shortly. Governor Udom Emmanuel of Akwa Ibom State has commended President Muhammadu Buhari for certain structures that allow tiers of government to function properly. The governor stated this shortly after the Supreme Court affirmed his election as governor of Akwa Ibom State. Clement Barakio reports that the mood of the state is reflective of the Supreme Court judgment.
After sitting for over 12 hours, the Supreme Court, in a unanimous judgment of a 7-member panel of justices, presided by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Mahmoud Muhammad, dismissed the appeals filed by Omana Okon Omana of APC and Alex Oti of ABGA, challenging the April 11 governorship elections that produced Udom Emmanuel of PDP as governor of Akwa Ibom State and Okezie Ekpazu of the same PDP as Abia State governor. The court, in its judgment, has set aside both the judgments of the lower tribunal News.
And the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has struck out an appeal filed by Dr. Umar Adu of the People's Democratic Party, challenging the April 11, 2015 governorship election conducted by INEC in Adamawa State. Again, Aliu Tukur has the details.
The appeal, which was struck out due to irregular filing of process, is challenging the legality of the present administration in Adamawa State on grounds that INEC conducted the April 11, 2015 governorship election while the tenure of Murtala Inyako and Bala Nglari had not elapsed.
The appeal today is also is faced with challenges of regularization of process, and the process before the way the case was constituted was not properly done. The lawyer's seal was omitted.
The Supreme Court delivered a judgment and gave a reason on the 14th of November 2015 that a council can regularize its processes, and which they are advanced and which we did today. And the court refused to move the application.
The judgment has put law and justice on its heels. The issue is the court refused to look at the justice of the issue, it looked at the technicality.
In another development, the trial of Olisa Metu has continued in the Federal High Court Abuja, where the EFCC presented a witness, Abba Dabo, a former political advisor to former Vice President Namadi Sambo. The witness told the court that he received 25 million naira from the embattled PDP spokesman to launch online media blog to counter criticism coming from the then opposition, APC. Abba Dabo said he received the money through Metu's company, Dextra Investment Company Limited, on December the 16th, 2014, into his account. The case has been adjourned to February the 9th, 2016. In Abuja, Aliu Tukur, NTA News.
And still on legal matters, experts have continued to express divergent views on the Supreme Court judgment regarding the leadership of the Anambra State chapter of the People's Democratic Party, whether or not members of the National Assembly from that state should retain their seats. Some legal minds were on NTA's flagship program, Good Morning Nigeria, to throw more light on the judgment. Joy Uzo reports.
Speaking on NTA's current affairs program, Good Morning Nigeria, former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Joseph Daudu, described the pronouncement as declaratory.
He's just there to declare the position. But I make bold to say, from what I saw in this judgment, you cannot have a consequence by implication. The Supreme Court merely stated the law, declared this as it is.
Nation is to achieve greatness. He stated this when he turned down the request by a group calling for the review of foreign exchange policy as it affects importation. National Assembly correspondent Abdullahi Garba Brenun Kodo reports on this and the budget defense by the Minister of Agriculture and that of State Petroleum Resources at the Senate.
The Tomato Subsectoral Group came with a request for the Senate to intervene and allows them to have access to foreign exchange as key to their importation of raw materials known as petroleum concentrate. The Senate President turned down the request and urged them to look inwards and develop local content for their industry.
It's time we start telling ourselves the hard truth, and it's time that we start doing the right thing. Nigeria is in the problem we are today because for years we have not taken the tough decision. some of us too have been in the private sector. Without this policy, without the firm commitment of Mr. President and APC government and present government to commitment of backward integration, you guys will never go into backward integration for a long, long time.
The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Audu Obe, restated federal government
legislative session of the parliament held in Abuja. He is Mustafa Siselo from Senegal. Some parliamentarians from the ECOWAS are expecting a robust legislation which will bring about good governance. Oko Epeyong reports.
Parliamentarians drawn from the West African sub-region converged to elect a new speaker and take the oath of allegiance as elected members of the parliament for the next 4 years.
The ECOWAS would not like to be left behind. There are still gaps, as you said, that need to be filled.
How do we say that this is an ECOWAS of peoples when even crossing from one country to the other, it's a problem?
If we can deal with a single currency, it will open up more for businesses.
The new speaker of the ECOWAS Parliament, Mustafa Siselo, solicits the support of members to attain an ECOWAS of people and not an ECOWAS of states. The outgone speaker, Ike Kweremadu, said the enhancement of powers is not for competition, but for good governance of ECOWAS and for building institutions for running a balanced and transparent ECOWAS. In Abuja, Oku Ekpayong, NTA News.
And the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has reiterated the federal government's commitment to partnering media executives in the discharge of their duty, which is information dissemination. He stated these at a stakeholders meeting with the Newspapers Proprietors Association of Nigeria in Lagos. Musa Toliat has the details.
The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, said Nigerians rely on information disseminated by the media, which is why such messages must not be distorted, especially as it relates to government's policies and programs. He told the newspaper proprietors that the quest for national development can only be achieved when media practitioners work with government to promote national unity and expose the evils in the society.
When we launched the National Sensation Campaign Against Corruption, we also did so in partnership with the media, and we have seen tremendous results so far.
The Information Minister therefore urged the Newspaper Proprietors Association to key into the various campaigns by the federal government, especially in the anti-corruption crusade.
We need your support for the ongoing campaign against corruption. Corruption is real and the cost is high.
Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me. Nigeria, unite against terrorism. If you see something, say something.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
As the sun rises over the hills of Abuja, so too dawns a new way of life and exquisite standard of living. Enjoy your own originally designed and quality-built home in the serene and secure environment of Sunrise Hills. Experience this uplifting lifestyle with breathtaking views of the city. Rise above. Sunrise Hills is unlike anything you've ever seen before. A new way of life is dawning in the heart of Nigeria.
Does your antiseptic liquid kill the germs that cause flu, diarrhea, typhoid? Dettol does. Dettol provides 10 times more protection versus leading competition. Dettol is the #1 seller.
Very high, Lassa fever, an acute viral illness characterized by high fever, muscle aches, mouth ulcers and bleeding in the skin, is harbored by rats and spread to humans via the urine and droppings of rats. To prevent Lassa fever, avoid any exposure with rodents, rats, as well as food and objects contaminated with rat secretions and excretions. Report all suspected cases of Lassa fever immediately to the nearest healthcare institution. Help prevent Lassa fever. This message is from the federal government of Nigeria.
Why are you filming, Mommy?
To help people stop getting sick. People think it's the ever-changing weather during Harmattan that makes them sick. Actually, it's the germs. Dettol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs, including flu.
Dettol, endorsed by the Nigerian Medical Association.
Nigerians, our fearless officers and men of the Nigerian military are winning the war against Boko Haram. Today, all occupied territories have been recovered and Boko Haram has been degraded. Our brothers and sisters are getting their lives back. However, they are now after you and me. In our mosques, churches, schools, motor parks, markets, entertainment centers, and public gatherings. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me. Nigeria, unite against terrorism.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Good to have you back on NTA Network News. And on health, Nigeria spends over 60 billion naira annually on cancer-related issues with many lives lost. These medical women in Nigeria say cannot continue. The women were speaking during an awareness creation outreach on cancer among secondary school students to mark this year's World Cancer Day with the theme, We Can, I Can. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday reports.
Available statistics show that in Nigeria, about 10,000
insurance bill. Sheung Ogunloye reports that this is to enhance the performance of the industry for national economic development.
At a critical time like this, when the revenue of Nigeria from oil is falling due to the downward trend in global crude oil price, a major source of government revenue, the insurance industry holds great potential in shoring up the nation's revenue base. This is the driving force for the Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, to inaugurate this committee to review the consolidated insurance bill.
Wherever you have forced savings, wherever you have a good pool of funds, you will have infrastructure and you will have development. So insurance is absolutely critical. This review is long overdue.
With a time frame of 90 days to deliver, the committee, headed by a veteran in the insurance sector and author of various titles on insurance law, consists other notable names in the industry as members.
We are all mindful of the present government's intensive efforts to diversify this economy. The insurance industry must play a leading role.
The minister also received the Inspector General of Police, Solomon Arase, who promised the seamless migration of the police force into the Integrated Payroll and Personnel Information System, IPPIS, by next month. In Abuja, Sheung Ogunloye, NTA News.
Nigeria's rising profile in the Committee of Nations can be attributed to President Muhammadu Buhari's dogged commitment in the fight against corruption and citizen support for the anti-corruption crusade in the country. This view was expressed by a guest on NTA Current Affairs program, Moment for Thought.
You have to go back to the even local government system, because obviously that's where a lot of misapplication or misuse of funds is done.
Today, it's even the community that will come to the anti-corruption agency and say, look, we don't understand what this our son is doing.
Moment for Thought comes up tonight at 10:30 on NTA Network service. The police has commenced a one-day roundtable conference on Northeast as lead agency in the internal security of the country. It is preparatory to evolving operational strategies that will lead to the restoration of civil authority in the Northeast by the Nigeria Police. Bonaventure Nwodo has the details.
The Inspector General of Police, Solomon Arase, said the measure is to identify gaps necessary for restoring civil authority in the Northeast, drawing experience from core stakeholders and others with rich and diverse experience.
Let me emphasize that the assurance of security of life and property to all and sundry by the Nigerian police force is not a privilege, but a right of every citizen and any person living in Nigeria.
Without the general de-radicalizing the atmosphere or the environment of the population, unfortunately, we will still be faced with the same problem.
How are we going to reconstruct facilities? How are we going to imagine and provide services and opportunities that will drive stabilization in that region?
Bonaventure Wood, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari says attack on soft targets by insurgents will not deter the federal government.
Visit on the state deputy governor Usman Mamandurkwa, Mr. Babachu commended the state government for its development efforts despite the security challenge. The deputy governor in response said the people of Borno remain grateful to President Buhari for restoring hope to the people, evidenced in the commitment of resources to fight insurgency. Maiduguri, Lami Ali, NTA News.
And a bit from the petroleum sector, the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, in collaboration with the Defense Headquarters, is perfecting strategies towards curbing the menace of crude oil theft and pipeline vandalism in Nigeria. A statement by the Acting Director of Defense Information, Brigadier General Rabi Abubakar, indicates that the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Dr. Ibe Kachiku, at the Defense Headquarters, was briefed by the high-powered committee set up last year to work out actionable template for the protection of oil and gas pipelines across the country.
And it is absolutely clear that unless the community and these individuals who are integrated into the process, it will be a futile effort.
The statement further adds that both the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources and the Chief of Defense Staff agreed that acquisition of new technology is vital for the holistic intervention in the oil and gas pipelines protection. The Chief of Defense Staff, while reiterating the military's commitment to securing the nation's critical infrastructure, warned that any act of criminality in this regard would not be condoned, as perpetrators will be dealt with lawfully. Operations of Bristol helicopters suspended after near crash. Over now to Jennifer in our Lagos studio for more details. Good to see you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Funke. Good to see you too. Good evening and welcome to Lagos. Our first story tonight is on the Bristol crash. Now, following the crash of Bristol helicopter into the Atlantic Ocean Wednesday, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, has suspended the operations of Bristol Helicopter Limited Coast Sky S-76C till further notice. The Director General, NCAA, Mukhtar Usman, made this known at a media briefing today in Lagos. Viera Chimuba has more.
The Bristol helicopter S-76C disappeared from the radar after it took off from the Murtala Mohammed Airport and later crashed into the Atlantic Ocean. The Director General of NCAA, Captain Mukhtar Usman, said the regulatory authority views the successive mishap of Bristol helicopters aircraft Sky 76C on the coastal waters of Lagos with utmost seriousness. The decision to suspend its operations, he said, is without prejudice to the investigation being conducted by the Accident Investigation Bureau, but will assist and support AIB in the investigation.
This suspension will enable the authority to carry out a full-scale audit on its operations with particular emphasis on its Sikorsky S76C++ type. This suspension of operations for the impending wholesale audit is not a vote of no confidence on the airline. It is to ascertain the adequacy and propriety of the operating aircraft type.
Captain Usman said it is important to stem the rapidity of occurrence and ensure the airline carry out safe operations in line with the standard operating procedures the world over and best practices in the aviation industry. The NCA boss, however, said the suspension of operations is not a vote of no confidence on the airline, but to ascertain the adequacy and propriety of the operating aircraft type. It will be recalled that in August 2015, a Bristol helicopter operated Seco Sky S76C series crashed around Oronshoki axis in Lagos. In Lagos, Viera Chomoba, NTA News.
Considering the enormous danger involved in siting a filling station within residential areas, the Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, has stopped and sealed a petroleum station under construction at Amuodofi area of Lagos for illegal construction.
This is the filling station under construction, bearing a fake approval signpost concocted by the owners of the station to avoid being sanctioned by the Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR. Unfortunately, the eagle eyes of the DPR supervisors uncovered the criminal act. The construction of the filling station was not approved by the DPR, insisting that the location of the petrol station posed danger to the community.
Look at the right and the left and at the back of the piece of land. It's a residential area, and you cannot set the petrol station inside a residential area. So based on that fact, it was rejected. And the owner applied for a waiver. DPR, in its wisdom, revisited the site and found that the site was not suitable again and wrote a letter to the man rejecting the approval. So he's constructing illegally because the site is not suitable for a petrol station. It will be harmful for the residents of the area and for the entire state.
The DPR supervisors urged petroleum product marketers to ensure that they obtain the necessary approval before construction of filling stations.
Now this is news coming from the Lagos Network Center. We'll be handing over to Funke in Abuja after these messages.
Nigerians, do you know the look of a suicide bomber? They're usually in loose or heavy clothing, usually inappropriate for the weather. They carry bags or packages. They tighten their hands or keep them in their pockets. They are unaware of their surroundings, always alone and nervous. They'll be found driving cars, moving very fast or extremely slow. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and
Getting sick. People think it's the ever-changing weather during Harmattan that makes them sick. Actually, it's the germs. Dettol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs, including flu.
Dettol, endorsed by the Nigerian Medical Association. Introducing the new Dettol 55-gram soap with the same germ protection and quality at a more affordable price. Buy the new Dettol 55-gram soap for 80 naira only. Keep your family protected from germs.
Good moms know how to prepare their kids for greatness by giving them Milo with breakfast every morning. And now, Milo has Active Gold, a special blend of protobol, vitamins, and minerals uniquely mixed with milk and cocoa to bring you the winning energy of Milo. Milo, the energy food drink of future champions.
Nestle, good food, good life.
As the sun rises over the hills of Abuja, so too dawns a new standard of living. Enjoy your own quality-built home in the secure environment of Sunrise Hills. Experience this uplifting lifestyle with breathtaking views of the city. Rise above. Sunrise Hills is unlike anything you've ever seen before. A new is dawning of Nigeria.
This is NTA News on Africa's largest television network. The federal government has fixed February 10th to raise 90 billion naira worth of local currency denominated bond using the Dutch auction system. Let's now join Vivian Idepefo on our business news segment for details.
A very warm welcome to the business news segment. Farmer groups in the country have continued to evolve innovative ways to harness the full potentials of agriculture through information and communication technology, ICT.
It's all about opening Nigerian market and exposing our farmers to the latest standard of products being sold all over the world.
The Central Bank of Nigeria has extended the deadline for the registration and linkage of BVN to accounts of Nigerian bank customers in the diaspora to 30th June.
Burial activities of the late monarch. One of the highlights of the activities preceding the interment of the fourth tortive, Dr. Alfred Akawe Tokula, was a requiem church service held at the J.S. Taka Stadium, Boko, venue of the funeral ceremony. Clergymen who spoke at the service emphasized the need to seek God while he is near and appealed to leaders at all levels to be committed to the service of humanity. At the same venue where dignitaries converged to give the tortive the final honor, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, said, "The loss is regretted as it is to the entire country." Governor Samuel Otum said, though the state mourns the tortive, his positive contributions not only to the Tivland, but the entire country will not be forgotten. The governors of Kogi, Plateau states, and Deputy Governor of Nasarawa State brought felicitations of their people. The former Governor of Benue State, Gabriel Suswam, Senator Barnabas Gamade, and the Minister of Science and Technology, Ogbonna Onu, praised the leadership qualities of the late tortive. At the Royal Cemetery, the tortive was laid beside others before him in a solemn ceremony according to tradition. The late Dr. Alfred Akawe Tokula, who became the fourth tortive in 1991, died November last year at the age of 71. In Makudi, Achiglilimagaji, NTA News.
And that will be it from Makudi. It's now over to Abuja for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Pam. We now take global tidbits. Stay with us.
Do you know the look of a suicide bomber? They're usually in loose or heavy clothing, usually inappropriate for the weather. They carry bags or packages. They tighten their hands or keep them in their pockets. They are unaware of their surroundings, always alone and nervous. They'll be found driving cars, moving very fast or extremely slow. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me. Nigeria, unite against terrorism.
We now bring you global tidbits.
Fixtures. The Lafayette-based team now has 8 points after 5 games to tie on points with Aqua United, who play